Blessings, Virgo, and welcome to my channel. You are watching Spotless Mind Tarot. My name is Cassandra, and today I will be your tarot reader. In this reading, we're going to take a look at the year 2025 to get some forecasting and predictions based on the tarot cards. I'm going to pull a card for each month to discover the major theme or event that may be taking place for you in that month. This is good for Virgo rising, sun, and moon sign. However, just your sun sign is good enough for these readings. Cross watchers are welcomed, and as always, timestamps are below in the description. So we're gonna go ahead and pull a card for January. So for January, we got the Four of Swords. So January may be a month where you don't see too much activity going on. There's not a whole lot of action. This is a great month to really slow down and to get plenty of rest. You may be recovering from something like an injury or surgery, or just from the holidays in general, or even just from the year before of 2024. And so January comes around and this is a great time to just slow things down. I feel like it's really important that you take the time to really look over yourself. I feel like you could also have burnout for some of you. That may be the case. You may just be really burnt out. I would listen heavily to your body and do as it says. So if you're tired, then sleep, okay? Don't feel bad that you're not being productive and you're just sleeping all the time. Of course, check your diet and your health and seek professional help if you think you need it. Otherwise, if you need to sleep, then you need to sleep, and don't feel bad about it. Because it's just really important here with the Four of Swords that you do rest and you do take things easy, because we are dealing with swords, and a sword is pretty damn sharp. You know, it can cut through and it could actually make things a lot worse if used improperly. So you want to get a handle of things and make sure that you're being really careful and cautious of your health and just like your overall environment as well. Okay, so make sure that things are safe. I don't know why I'm getting safety, but so like I guess like check your like fire alarm, check your fire extinguisher to make sure it's up to date, because I'm pretty sure those things do expire after a while. Check your electronics or like appliances to make sure like everything's cool, like there's no corrosion. So I'm getting like battery corrosion or something like that. So yeah, like, you know, when you leave batteries in something for too long, like a year, like they start getting corroded, especially if you're not using it. And so yeah, you just like, I don't know why I'm saying this, but you can even take that metaphorically, like just check for things that can be a health hazard or a safety hazard when it comes to your environment overall. So that could even just like be at work. So if you notice something that doesn't look safe and looks like a hazard, then speak up, because I feel like, you know, with the swords, for whatever reason, you just gotta you know, you got to be really careful, okay? I would also think twice, look both ways before crossing. That can even just be metaphorically. So there's a lot of caution here. You want to just take it easy overall for the month of January. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of activity going on anyway, so you should be able to get away with just doing absolutely nothing, or just, you know, just really just taking it easy overall. So even if you are really productive and things are going on, just take it easy. You know, only do what you're capable of doing or what's necessary. So definitely not a month for you to go above and beyond. So that's what I got for January. So in February, we got the 10 of Wands. And so after all that rest and recovery you got in January, here comes February with all the responsibility possible. So this may be a month where things do start to pick up, things start to get really active, really, really busy. I feel like, you know, not only will you have a lot more responsibility, I think you're just going to have a lot more on your plate. There's going to be a lot more for you to do as well. So there could also just be a whole lot of opportunity for you. And I could see you going out a lot, attending events and get-togethers and just like things like that where there's opportunity and networking. So this may be a big month for you to network, or I would recommend that you do start networking this month because you could receive some luck from that. Some of you could also just be moving, and so you have to pack a lot. There's a decision that needs to be made as well, but I think it has to do with deciding how to, let's just say, like how to organize a shelf. Okay, so you have to get really creative here, but you also have to, like, I guess, be your Virgo self and be analytical about how you go about doing things. So with just the analogy of like organizing the shelf, you know, let's say you just have a bunch of different boxes and they're all different sizes and weights, and you gotta put them all on the shelf and they all need to fit. And so you gotta like really figure out like how to pack everything in together. So I think like that's the decision that needs to be made, however that's gonna look for you in your life. I think it's just like I guess it has a lot to do with planning, but it's like really creative planning. Like you're really gonna have to think outside of the box. I feel like this would be a good time to donate, especially toys. I don't know why, but I was getting something about children's toys and like cleaning up kids' toys and putting them away or donating them, because let's say if you do have children, you just had Christmas a couple months ago and your child got all kinds of new toys. So now it's time to go through all the toys that I guess just aren't age appropriate. So let's say they're like toddler toys and your child's in kindergarten now. So there could be something like that where you're literally doing that, or even, I don't know how that would be as a metaphor, but that's just a message that I received, so I deliver. Yeah, I feel like the vibes are pretty good. I know the Ten of Swords or the Ten of Wands can come off really stressful, and like there's a whole lot of work to be done, and it is like backbreaking. So there is a lot of physical work that needs to be done. I still feel like it's gonna be pretty good overall. I don't think it's gonna be anything you can't handle, and I don't think it's gonna be too overwhelming. Okay, so that's what I got for February. In March, we got the Six of Wands, and so this is a month of victory, a month of celebration. I feel like there's a lot of accomplishment, so whatever was going on in February could relate to this, and now you are being rewarded for all your hard work, or it could just be something that was leading up to this moment, or just something out of the blue completely. Either way, March looks like a really, really good month for you guys. There's a lot to celebrate. There's a lot to be thankful and grateful for. There's a lot of being acknowledged. So it might be related to Jupiter or to Leo. So I would look at where Leo is in your birth chart and also where Jupiter is placed. So I feel like the reward and the acknowledgement can come from those two, from Jupiter and from Leo, or if you have Jupiter and Leo, then all the better. You know, it could be acknowledgement on a grand scale, because we are dealing with Jupiter and we are dealing with Leo, and so Leo tends to stand out and be the center of attention, and Jupiter expands everything, and it also just multiplies. It makes things like really like dramatic, or it could also make things appear bigger than they seem, because Jupiter does also rule Pisces. So Pisces is a bit dreamy and elusive and just kind of like spiritual and out of this world, and so things could be blown out of proportion. But overall, I feel like the reward is well earned and worth it, regardless of how it's going to look. You might also be thinking about what to do next, what to do moving forward. I feel like you're just going to be in a really good place where you're going to be very inspired. And it could have a lot to do with the people around you that are inspiring you or even encouraging you. I feel like you can also just receive a lot of inspiration from other people, and especially from people who seem like they're at a distance or people who you don't know. So let's say maybe someone you follow on social media and they're really inspiring to you in some way. I feel like you could study them and kind of just observe what they're doing and maybe kind of mimic or copy what they're doing, but in your own way, of course. So, I mean, that's essentially what inspiration is. It's, you're inspired to act a certain way and to do certain things, and usually you're copying something from that inspiration that you received. Yeah, I guess that could also be a Leo trait too, because Leo does like to copy, or they like to, it's not like they like to copy per se, they like to mimic characters. So they see a character on the screen, like a movie they're watching, and they do something, they like to get up and like do what they just did, okay? And so it could be like that, where you're just like, you're learning how to act a certain way, or you're learning how to present yourself. So this could have a lot to do with social media in general and like your social media presence. Of course, this isn't going to apply to everybody, but some people here, I feel like you could really benefit from just kind of like not necessarily doing what everyone else is doing, like not doing all the trends that you see on social media, but just kind of like the marketing of it, like kind of just like, this is how it's done, okay? So I can give an example. If you're like an artist or a musician, one thing I notice artists do when they drop a song is they'll make a quick video on their phone singing or rapping a verse, or they're lip syncing essentially, and like do all this kind of movement and stuff, and then post it, and like it's content, right? And so it's like, that concept is really simple. Like, you just say a verse real quick and post it, but how you go about doing it, I think, is everything. And so, like, you're copying other people by doing what they just did. They spit a verse and posted it, but you're doing it in your way. So I think that's what I was trying to get at when it comes to, like, you're not really doing what everyone else is doing, but you're kind of just doing, I don't know, like, I can't think of like a word or a way to say it. You're kind of just following the script, I guess you could say. Like, there's only so many stories, like certain stories you could write. Like, there's, a good guy, a bad guy, and then the ending. Like, there's only so many ways you can go about doing that, and you just change up like the characters in the scenario, whatnot. So anyways, I think you get what I'm trying to say. So that's what I got for March. For April, we got the Page of Pentacles. And so immediately I'm getting, you are going back to the drawing board. You're going back and starting a new plan, or kind of like starting from scratch, or like beginning a blueprint. So there's a lot here where you're contemplating what to do next in your life. We did pick that up for last month in March, where you kind of like, you had a victory, and then now you're curious about what to do next, what's the next move. And here comes April, and you are able to finally make your next move and really start laying the groundwork. So the Page of Pentacles is all about discovery, learning, entrepreneurship, apprenticeship, because Pentacles does deal with these sorts of things. And I also mentioned something about copying last month, and like kind of like not doing what everyone else is doing, but like following the script. And Pentacle energy is definitely like that, where you learn from what other people are doing, or you learn from experience. So like an apprenticeship or something where you take on a position where you're just there to kind of like learn and to like learn the tricks of the trade. Okay, so I do feel like whatever comes up in April, it's going to require your own personal skill and whatever your talents are, whatever your advantages are, and that sort of thing. There's a lot of planning here with Pentacles. Whatever you are doing, just know that this is going to be long lasting. It might even be, so let's say you start a project, it might even be something that's going to develop over time. It's going to take a very long time because Pentacles is earth energy and it tends to be a lot slower than the other signs, but it is long lasting and it does have a bigger impact. It's meant to be solidifying. It's meant to be a foundation. It's not meant to just fall apart or to go away after a while. It's here to stay. And so long-term planning, I think, is really important for April. You definitely want to like be realistic about what you're able to do in the present moment, but you also want to look forward, look ahead, look into the future, and think about the long-term goal with whatever you're working on, however long that may be, even if it is just 3 months or it's going to take you a couple years. Either way, I think it's important to prepare for the long haul either way, and be prepared that it's probably going to take longer than you anticipated. I feel like there are going to be delays along the way, but much later on. So right now, this is a month to really just get things going, get things organized, going over the details, maybe even including other people if other people need to get involved, filling them in on information and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, April seems to be a whole month of planning and a whole month of also like self-discovery. I feel like you can learn a lot about yourself here. I think it has a lot to do with patience and also your skill. Like you could even discover a skill you didn't know you have. Okay, and so I think that would be pretty exciting to discover something that you're capable of doing and had no idea you could do it. Yeah, that seems to be the gist of it. So that's what I got for April. For May, we got the King of Swords. So this is a month where I feel like you're going to really I don't know why I heard like stand trial, so maybe some of you have some legal issues you need to get sorted out, or if you are involved in the legal system, like you are a lawyer or something, there could be like a major trial that happens in May. Either way, I feel like you're going to be put to the test. But it could also be you putting someone else to the test. And it has a lot to do with justice, okay? So this could be karmic justice from the universe. Or if this is you in this position, I feel like you're just shedding light on a situation or finally speaking up about something, or just finally receiving some kind of like victory or I guess success from a situation. Although I don't see it, the success is varied. I mean, I feel like that's gonna be if you see it as success. So, you know, let's give an example. If you are like going to trial or something, or like you're a lawyer and like you win a case or something, but like what your client did wasn't really like good or something, but you happen to like beat the case, you know. It could be something like that where it's like, yeah, like on paper you beat the case, but maybe what the person did, like they probably shouldn't have done it. Okay, so it's a perspective thing. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So it could be something like that where you did something that was kind of wrong, but for whatever reason it's justifiable. And I'm not like condoning anything, okay? If something's wrong, it's wrong. But you know, it's kind of like how they say, like, you know, like lying is really bad, but if you have to lie your way out of a situation that's like dangerous, you know, like you have to like say something to get away from something that's really dangerous, but it's not true, I mean, then is a lie really all that bad, you know? So it could just be something like that where it's very situational, and I think it just, like, it's gonna be different for everybody, however that's gonna manifest. But yeah, that's just something that I'm getting. Okay, we are dealing with Gemini energy, so communication is important this month. Speaking clearly and speaking your mind, as well as, I guess, like doing research, or I'm getting just like it has a lot to do with speaking the truth, and it's like truth that is already written or something. So it could, you know, you're just like, so like the law is written already, and like the law is the truth, you know, whether or not you agree with it. I don't know. That's like the best way I could describe this message I'm receiving. But yeah, so you could also just be dealing with a Gemini, or just stepping into this Gemini archetypal energy. And you know, Gemini can be a bit sly, and so it's probably a good example where like you do something bad and you get away with it. I feel like Geminis are like that, like they kind of like do stuff they're not supposed to do, or they're a bit like a risk taker and a bit adventurous, and which makes sense because their opposite sign is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is definitely a risk taker and very adventurous. And so Gemini can be the same way, but I feel like they're a bit more trickstery, like they're a bit more playful about it. You know, I've never really met a mean Gemini. My dad's a Gemini. He can get mean, but like generally speaking, he's not a mean person. And so I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but I feel like the tricksterness of it isn't like to be mean or anything, but it is a bit mischievous. Like, you can't really trust a Gemini, but at the same time, like you can. I don't know, like I have a good relationship with Gemini, so it's, you know, to each their own. Everyone's different. I'm sure someone could completely disagree with what I'm saying, but yeah, so it's just that Gemini energy that, you know, fuck around, find out kind of energy. Okay, but there's like an innocence, there's an air of innocence to Gemini. I don't know, it's really interesting. Okay, so that's basically what I got for May, so we're just gonna go ahead and move on now. For June, we got the Six of Swords, and so this could be a month of transition. I feel like you could also take a long distance travel. You could also be heading out of some kind of difficult situation, coming out of some difficult or challenging times. I feel like help is along the way. So June's a month where you may receive help. It could be from a foreign source or an unlikely source. It's from a place from far away, so be mindful of that. Maybe there's something you can do, like take action in receiving some kind of help or assistance from far away, or it's just going to happen anyways. It's just going to come to you. I feel like you're not too focused on the outside world, but you're not necessarily too focused on your inner world either. I think you're just more focused on your immediate environment and what's right in front of you. So this may be a month where you're not as sociable, maybe not just as outgoing and playful. I think you just have a lot ahead of you. You just have a lot that is important to you that needs to be taken care of in the month of June. The Six of Swords signifies a long journey. It could also signify a move and coming out of a difficult situation. It could also represent like immigration or being a refugee. And so, you know, that's like the vibe for June, you know. It's kind of just like you're kind of on your own, but you're not the only one. And it's more or less you just seem to be focused on your own private life and however that looks in whoever's involved, and it could be something that you deal with day by day. So, you know, one day you have to deal with your neighbor, the next day you have to deal with your mom or something, but like both days are really personal, and like, I don't know, there's just something there in that message. I don't know what it was going to be, but yeah, so it's something like that. I feel like you're just going to be a lot quieter, a lot more reserved. You know, like you're turning your back on the outside world. You're not really concerned with what everyone else is doing. So June would be a good month to really move out of a place you don't want to be in anymore. Even like rearrange furniture, you know, like just to kind of like pick up the energy, because energy seems kind of low this month. Okay, so that's what I'm getting for June. For July, we got the Two of Swords, and so I feel like after June, whatever happened for you, it brought you here to the Two of Swords, to where you're a bit at a crossroads. You're at a place where I feel like you're finding yourself alone with whatever it is that you're dealing with. Okay, so even if you are like married and you have kids and you have a busy life, I still feel like you're finding yourself a lot more alone, like not really receiving the help or assistance that you need or seek, or people are just like seemingly don't want to help you. But I think if that's the case, that's just the universe pushing you to be more self-reliant and to trust yourself. And it has a lot to do with the decisions that need to be made. So in July, there could be a major decision that needs to be made, or just like overall, you're thinking about your decision making. Maybe you have some Libra traits where you seek validation from other people when making a decision. And, you know, how is that working for you? You know, does that really get you what you want? Does that really benefit you in any way? So I feel like, yeah, there could be something major, a major decision that you need to make in July. But also, I think just your overall decision making, I think you're kind of just thinking about how you go about it, and, you know, seeing like what works and what doesn't work, and, you know, asking yourself some hard questions as well. So you do have to do something on your own here. You do have to make a decision on your own. I feel like you've weighed both sides enough. And, you know, with the Two of Swords, I always feel like you know what the decision is, but because we're dealing with Libra energy, it's really hard to finalize that decision. It's like choosing between like two like jackets or something, like one's like burgundy, one's white, random colors, and like you love them both, but you could only buy one. Where Libra is just like, for the most part, Libra is like, if they don't have to make a choice or a decision, then, you know, all the better, because like they want both, or like, you know what I mean. And so it could be something like that, where it's like you want both, but like, you know what's the better choice. Like burgundy doesn't look good on you, but you just like the way it looks. Okay, so don't get the burgundy one, obviously. Get the white one. So just like as an example, okay, like go with what obviously makes sense. So go with what isn't like aesthetically pleasing either, if that's the case. Like, just because you like that burgundy jacket and it looks really good doesn't mean it's gonna look good on you. Like, maybe it's not part of like, what is that, like color theory? It doesn't match your skin tones and your eyes and stuff, and so like don't go for it, right? Just because it looks good on the rack doesn't mean you should own it. And so so when it comes to like aesthetics, like think about that. Like, just because it looks good doesn't mean it's good for you, or it doesn't mean it's gonna work out for you, or it's good for your image or your brand, or whatever the case. I also feel like relationships could be part of this. July seems to be a big theme, or a bit, there seems to be a focus on relationships in July. So you could be deciding between two partners if you're dating, or there's a decision you need to make that is going to impact the relationship. So like, let's say you guys gotta move, and let's say like you guys work on opposite ends of the city, and you know, you like to live where you guys live. Let's say you live closer to work and your partner's got to travel, but like, and you like where you live, but like where your partner has to travel, let's say you got kids, and like the schools there are just like way better on that side of town or something. So it's like, you know, you gotta, like, do you stay comfortable with where you are because you just like the neighborhood and you're familiar, or do you go and do something new because it's going to benefit your kids and your husband or your wife, even though you're the one that now has to go travel across town, like, you know. So there's like a bit of like a sacrifice, but also like making a decision that's going to impact your relationship, your family, or just like the people around you in general. Okay, so that's what I got for July. So for August, we got the Two of Cups. So we're furthering that relationship energy we got from last month in July. I feel like in July we got the Two of Swords, and you had to make a decision. So I feel like whatever that decision is, it's going to be good and it's going to benefit you. I feel like if it is in regards to relationship or some kind of partnership, it's whatever you decided on, like, it's going to benefit the both of you. With the Two of Cups here, this speaks of a union and harmony and like coming together in peace. And so if whatever like turmoil or stress or any kind of disturbances you've been experiencing throughout the year, I feel like in August you can get some relief from that finally. So let's say maybe you have a health issue or some kind of injury you had to recover from, because I did pick up on recovery in January. Let's say by August, like, you no longer have to deal with that. Okay, so like you broke a finger or something, and like by August, like, you completely forgot you even broke your finger because there's no more, you know, numbness and discomfort. Like, it kind of just, it clears on its own. So with that said, you could also have some good health news, and it's interesting because it kind of looks like the health logo. Okay, and so it could also represent the Kundalini energy. So your health could really improve this month. Things can really like come into alignment for you. If you're expecting something like a prescription, it could finally come in August. I'm also getting like holistic health too, though. So I feel like even just connecting with nature or spending time by water a lot more can really improve your health. If anything, it can improve your mood, and by improving your mood, you improve your health. So that's something to consider as well. Even like your mindset and your mind state, I think, is very helpful. You know, a lot of people say I look a lot younger than I really am. And, you know, sometimes people ask me, like, what do I do? And it's like, I'm not doing anything specific, honestly. But I do feel like, for one, I spent a lot of time indoors as a stay-at-home mom and, like, as a complete hermit. And so I wasn't out in the sun. And two, my mindset, I think, is what really keeps me young. And like, of course, like my genetics, like I give it all up to my maternal lineage. Like, they're all beautiful women. They all looked really young until old age. And so, but I feel like my mindset has a lot to do with it. 'Cause I always say, like, I'm forever 19. And so, and I do feel like I haven't exactly grown up. I mean, yeah, I can be pretty mature and whatnot. I'm a Capricorn, but like, you know, just feeling and thinking young, not like literally thinking you're 19, but just having that young mindset to where it's like, you know, whenever there's like a new slang or something, like, you don't get upset about it. Like, I used to, but like I try not to. I try to understand it. Of course, there's certain slang words that are just absolutely annoying, but yeah, I try not to like be like, oh, those dumb kids or whatever. I try to just kind of like embrace it, because it's like, who am I to judge, first of all? But also, it's like, if you start doing that to where it's like, oh, those damn kids and their stupid slang words, you know, it's like, I don't know what they're saying. It's like, oh, you're kind of like putting yourself in that position to be old or whatever. So I don't know, just give it an example. Okay. Yeah, so like mindset could be everything for you in August. Yeah, the fountain of youth, there seems to be something about youthfulness in August. I mean, this is Leo season going into Virgo season, your guys' season, and your guys' birthday. So yeah, like there's that young vibe where it's very vibrant. We're reaching the end of summer essentially. We're like halfway there. And so there's a lot of youthful energy happening in August. So yeah, that's basically what I got for August. Interesting, for September we got two cards. We got the Devil and the Hangman in reverse. And so I feel like September, happy birthday to all the Virgos born in August and September, but if you're born in September, I feel like this is really going to impact you, because I think it does have a lot to just do with like a solar return, or if you are having like a Saturn return or something like that, or any kind of planetary return that you're having in September for whatever reason, it's like coming up and it's really important. But I feel like you could be breaking out from an old habit. You could also be stuck here with the Devil, because the Devil can be a sign of you like waking up to the truth and breaking free. But we do have the Hanged Man in reverse, and it's a bit concerning in this reading because I feel like the Hangman here has an inability to let go and to break free. So September might be a challenging month for you guys, okay? It might be a month where you're gonna want to ignore responsibility. You're gonna want to ignore reality. There's something here you want to ignore, but it's absolutely imperative that you don't. Things aren't exactly what they seem. So if you are presented with a new idea or like a job offer or an opportunity or anything like that, I would be wary, because I don't think it's what you are expecting. If it's too good to be true, then it more than likely is. So I feel like this is a month where you need to really break free here, to really accept something that's going to be really hard for you to accept. You just might not be able to accept it at all, unfortunately, for some of you. I think it's just like it's a lesson that needs to be learned. But also, you know, with the Hangman, I just feel like there's just an inability to really let go. It's like you could also be in denial about something as well, so be very mindful of that. Like, you know, are you in denial about something you've done, or about something that's happening, something you've said, something that you're doing, a situation that you're in? You know, are you honest about it? Are you able to accept the reality of it? Or, you know, maybe it's something you need to look for instead of it being presented. Maybe you have to seek it out. So there's an inability to let go of something in September, and I think it's just your inability to really just see through the fog and really see it for what it is, even though it's right there in front of you. I think it's just going to be really hard for you to see it, unfortunately. So September brings a month of challenges and a month of just, there's a lot of confusion. So if you are dealing with like a planetary return, aside from your sun sign, I just feel like there's a really important lesson here if that's the case, okay? If it's your birthday, maybe not so much like it's a really important lesson, but it's, you know, it's gonna have an impact on you in some way. I feel like there's also an inability for you to really express yourself and to speak up for whatever reason that may be. People aren't really hearing you out clearly either. Somebody might even be painting you as the bad guy. So there could be rumors too on the other side of this. There could be like people saying things that aren't true. Rumors or gossip, or like people trying to like stain your image. They're trying to bring you down. They're trying to trap you as well. Like maybe they're trying to catch you in their spider web. It could also be like you're seeing things that are bad, or you're seeing stuff going on and you're not speaking up about it. Or you may, for whatever reason, I feel like there's some kind of restriction here, so that's why you're not speaking up about it. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like that restriction's as one that you're placing on yourself. Don't be afraid to speak up. Maybe you feel like you can't speak up, but, or if you do, you could like lose your job or something. But if you don't speak up, this devil is just gonna keep doing its thing, you know? So it's very challenging. I honestly can't say too much more with that, because it's gonna be really personal for each and everybody, and it's so far out too, so you know, you have to wait and see what's gonna come. So yeah, just take caution in September. Just know that things aren't what they seem, and I think there's just like a lot of deception here and a lot of needing to break free from that deception, but for whatever reason you're struggling. So that's what we got for September. For October, we got the 5 of Swords, and so this could be a continuation from September and all the challenges that you've had to deal with. In October, there's a victory, but it comes with defeat, okay? There's like a battle that occurred, and now everything's over with. Everything's been said, everything's been all like, there's like a lot of controversy, I feel. So there's like a defeat, but there's also a win, or it's like nobody really wins in this situation. So October seems to be a month where you find yourself alone again, like how you did in July. Okay, especially if there's any relation between these 2 months. I feel like you're still kind of like in that hangman vibe, that reverse hangman, where like you're seeing it right in front of you, but you're not doing anything about it. Instead of being tricked by what you're seeing, like you don't realize what you're seeing. It's like, you know what you're seeing, but you're still not speaking up about it, or you're still not accepting it, or whatever the case may be. Or you're kind of just like letting it happen. So be really mindful of that. If you really need to speak up, then please speak up. But at the same time, sometimes things happen to where we can't, because, you know, there's so many times where my intuition tells me things, but it also says not to do anything about it, and to just like let it happen. And it's just like, why? Like, why did I, you know? But it's like, in hindsight, it's like, I'm deterministic. Like, some things are meant to just happen. Like, you know, it's harsh, but that's the reality of things. So at the same time, like, don't be like a complete like idiot and just let things happen, okay? As nicely put as I could put it. But at the same time, like, sometimes you there's nothing you can really do or say. Like, you know, you're not invited to every fight. Like, not everything needs your help either. So that could be like another message. Like, you want to extend a helping hand, but you shouldn't, or you can't, or it's not as necessary as you think it's going to be. So if you do have children, it could be something that they're going through or dealing with, but you kind of have to let them go through it, because that's just part of life. It's part of learning and growing. Because if you do everything for them, then they don't do much for themselves, okay? And I should speak because I'm a Capricorn, and I tend to just kind of do everything as a parent. And it's like probably my most toxic parent trait is just I get it done because it's gonna get done if I get it done. So it's really, really bad. But I mean, my kids excel in other areas, but there's certain things like I still gotta do for them, and it's like, please just freaking do it. But also, like, that's just like the life they live and the life that was given to all of us. Like, as a child, I had to do things on my own. I had to figure shit out on my own. I couldn't really rely on anybody. Also didn't like being told what to do, so I did it myself. And so it's kind of just habit for me to just take care of shit, okay? So that could be like another message here, where you kind of just gotta take care of shit. You kind of just gotta like put your head down and just kind of deal with it. So that could also be the aspect for some people of why you can't speak up, or why it's not necessary, because you're just going to do the work yourself. So October seems to be another month where you're going to have a lot more less help from people around you, but whatever the challenge may be, just know that you're completely capable of accepting that challenge and getting through it. So that's what I got for October. For November, we have the Six of Pentacles. And so it's funny because I didn't even shuffle the cards. It just kind of flipped over as I grabbed my deck. It just popped right out. So, okay, that's November. So November is the Six of Pentacles. And so on one end, you could be receiving a lot of assistance and help. Finally, after not really having much of that in October, I feel like November, the universe can finally step in and give you help. It could also be you getting rewarded for the work you've done, the efforts you've done. So let's say you do like a lot of volunteer work. I feel like you're going to be acknowledged for it, or like rewarded for it in some way. Or this could just be a month where you do a lot of volunteer work, where you are a lot more giving, resourceful, but like helping people who need help. Not necessarily like people in need or anything, but like just offering more assistance. So I feel like it can go both ways, where you're receiving the assistance, but you could also give the assistance. I might have said resistance the first time. So maybe there's some kind of resistance. Maybe some like major political thing happens and there's a major protest or something. I don't know. And you're like a big contributor to like organizing a protest. That'd be so crazy if that's true. But yeah, it's just something like that. So yeah, like maybe you are taking up a like activism, or some kind of like major thing happens to where it is a bit like activism. It is a bit like this is for the people. Okay, so there's a bit of that vibe going on. This is Moon in Taurus as well, and so there can be a sense of justice here, because we do have Venus ruling Taurus, and Venus also rules Libra, and Venus does deal with like justice. It doesn't seem like that, but Venus is you know, she's a warrior in her own right. You know, she's a female warrior, and ruling Libra, that has to do with justice and shit like that. Yeah, there could be something like that occurring for you, to where you're a bit more looking out for others and others looking out for you. So there could be a big sense of community here. You could be really involved in the community, or just like your neighborhood, or like at work or something. There, wherever you are, there's a sense of community. There's a sense of helping, and just being able to provide that assistance, I think, is what's really important. And also I think that's what's going to really fulfill you in the month of November. Like, you're going to feel really good about doing something here that's like for the people, like I said, some like activism, or if it's with working with animals or something, it just anything like that, where there's some kind of justice and just some kind of like, you know, this isn't exactly for me, you know, it's for all of us. So that's what I got for November. For December, we got the Queen of Swords. Okay, earlier this year we got the King of Swords. Maybe it was June. It was back in May, actually. So May and December can be connected somehow. Otherwise, this is just the archetypal energy you're stepping into. This is Libra energy, and so that seems to be a theme for you this year. Is that Libra energy, that also like the Venusian energy of Libra. It seems to be an archetype that you tap into a lot this year. The Queen of Swords, I feel like in this reading, is forthcoming. She's very diplomatic. She's very outspoken. She also like lets other people speak, but it's really hard to persuade her and change her opinions, even though it's Libra. But the way it's showing up in this reading for you in December, that seems to be the case. Like, it's kind of hard to change your opinion, but you are willing to hear what other people have to say. Okay, I feel like you're gonna be in a position of power somehow, or in some way, some kind of authority. People are going to be seeking your help and assistance. So it could be related to November, especially if you do any kind of activist work or any kind of community work. people are going to turn to you in December. And so be prepared for that, because, you know, this is a holiday season. And if you are involved in like the community or anything like that, then there's going to be a lot that needs to be done. Like, you know, just all kinds of like fundraisers and like volunteer work and things like that, like helping people or helping set up events or something. So December could be much like that, to where you're still involved in the community, but you're in a position of like leadership and authority in some way. So you could be leading some kind of group organization. And so this also doesn't have to do with everything I mentioned, like community or activism. You could just be in charge of a group. It could be at work. It could just be in the home, or whatever the case may be. You're kind of like leading the way. You also like are setting the example. Okay, so be mindful that people are watching you, even if it doesn't seem like it, or if you don't think they are, or whatever the case. Know that people are watching you and looking up to you. I also get a sense of like reverse Uno. I don't know why I heard that, but to where I got earlier this month where you could like seek the assistance of someone else or something like that, and now they're seeking your assistance. Oh, it had to do with like being inspired by somebody, so that somebody could now be inspired by you, or you're just going to be a big inspiration to somebody in December. And so be mindful that people are watching. It could even just like be your boss just like paying extra attention to you at work. And so just be mindful that whatever it is, you're being watched, and I feel like you're going to be rewarded at a later date. I think you will get recognition, because this is the queen that we're dealing with. And so it is kind of hard to, you know, she deserves her accolades. And so that's like another thing. You could be setting something up for the future to where you are recognized and acknowledged for it. I don't know why I'm also thinking about like a book. So maybe somebody's writing a book. Maybe they're finishing the book or something, or you're going to be inspired to write a book or something like that. There's a sense, an air of grace to this card. This is a month where, you know, like diplomacy can be considered a gracious act of, you know, not gracious, but like graceful. Like if you're very, I don't know how that would work, just convincing, I guess. You could be gracefully convincing or something. I don't know, but there's something there with grace. And just being like really graceful, just being like, you know, like asserting your authority, but not being pushy, not being dominant, you know, not being like a Capricorn about it, like you're being a Libra about it. You know, Libra is a cardinal energy. She is a leader. Libra energy is a leader. It is in a position of authority, but they give people their chance. You know, they don't like to, you know, it's interesting because like they don't like to lead the way. They do, but they don't. They like to set the example, but they also don't like to take responsibility for it, which is really funny because it's Libra, you know, it's the scales. They're just more concerned with keeping the balance and keeping peace. So that could be another message. This is a month where you're able to keep the balance and keep the peace and bring harmony to every situation you enter into. So that's what I got for December. All right, Virgo, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope these messages reached you well and were insightful for you. I'm very curious to see how the year turns out for you. So thank you once again for watching these videos, especially if you got this far. I will be uploading these videos month by month, or like snippets of each month, each reading for each month. I'll be uploading month by month all next year. So if you don't want to come back to this video, just look out for those and you can rewatch for that month. And you know, it'll be interesting to see how much comes true because I read an entire year. So yeah, that basically sums it up. So thank you once again, and I appreciate all for being here and giving me this opportunity to read for you. It has been my absolute pleasure. Take care, Virgo.